Hey guys, Mike here. So, boy, what a day in the market. We had a lot of stuff happen. Had some news come out in the afternoon that absolutely just started sending everything sky high. Okay, so we'll talk about that one. Also, some other stuff coming out of China that isn't good for Chinese stocks. Shocker there. We'll see how the government's going to react to that right there. Also, you can definitely see a 2023 plan. The big money's converting back over to that right now, it looks like. And I'm going to show you why. Also, there's a few reasons for that. And we'll go into Tesla. It had a big day today. And I'll show you exactly what happened. The call sweeps. And I'll absolutely go into detail on SoFi and take my penance on that one, because you guys in the comments, what I'll show you, were right. Because one thing I didn't realize, there was two things I didn't realize, was the short interest, which you guys educated me on after I said that SoFi wouldn't go 20 to 30%. It went like 23, I think, today. And then it was one of the things I totally missed out on as well when it comes to that. So I'll go into that as well. And I don't mind admit when I'm wrong about something. And I was totally wrong. Okay. Now, looking at what happened coming out of China, which could affect pretty much a lot of different things, including America. And it has to do with the fact that, one, they cracked down on short selling once again. Big money does not like this, right? They don't want you to be having to go long stocks and everything. So that sucked right there. They don't like that a bit. But the other big news is a court came out and said, well, Evergrande, which is one of their biggest builders, is absolutely, just a mess right now. So Justice Linda Chan decided to liquidate the world's most indebted developer with more than $300 billion of total liabilities after noting Evergrande had been unable to offer a concrete restructuring plan more than 2 years after defaulting on its offshore debt. So they're going to have to figure out, how they're going to be treating foreign creditors and things of this nature as the company fails. So that's kind of a big deal and weighing on a lot of stuff going on in China, because, $300 billion in total liability is a big thing, and a lot of citizens lost a lot of money, are going to lose a lot of money. Now, the thing that sent the markets moving much higher after lunch was the Treasury announcement, right? Treasuries do have something to do with the market. Everybody respects the bond market. The big thing was they come out for January and March and even April and said they're going to have to issue less debt than they actually thought. And so, of course, you can see right here, bam, market says that's great. Let's run this puppy higher, as you can see right there on the S&P. The index that loved it the most, though, was the IWM, small caps, right? And I'll show you why in a second. Up over 1% right there, just from 3 o'clock on, I believe. And the reason why, because yields took a dump right there at 3, that big move down. When you have a big move down like that very fast, then the stocks love it, okay? Now, one thing you might notice is, and you kind of seeing this, we'll see if it continues to happen, is you got the S&P now outperforming the S&P equal weighted index. As you can see, it's almost basically back to where it was. And of course, when we look over it, say RSP, for example, this is the equal weighted index. What's been going on since December? It's just in this range right here, okay? It's just going sideways right now after this enormous move up, because you saw you saw a shift into a lot of other stocks, right? And so you started moving this up on all these rate cuts, but all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, we're not getting our 12 rate cuts. And I think it was 6, but I'm just being sarcastic. Well, we need to go back to the 2023 plan, right? So how do we know that's happening? Just pull up the Amazon right here. This is the 9 most heavily weighted stocks. And the Qs, for example, is what the ticker I put in here. And you can see it's going up. But what else you got? You got the SPY and then the equal weighted SPY. Well, all of a sudden, they were looking good, right? Coming up here, and all of a sudden, they were absolutely correlated right here. And then, bam, the Mega 9, 10, whatever you want to call them, started taking off again. Big money started rolling into it, pushing them to 52-week highs and stuff. So the S&P started taking back off, and the equal weighted S&P is like, nope, we're just going to go ahead and trade sideways because the money ain't flowing in like it was, okay? How else do we know this? What happened today? Google, new 52-week high, they're reporting tomorrow. Microsoft, new 52-week high, they're reporting tomorrow. AMD, I believe this is a new 52-week high, if I'm not mistaken. They're reporting tomorrow as well. What else do they do? Amazon, which we'll look in detail, not at a 52-week high, but they're definitely trying to push it up. Meta, new 52-week high. And then Apple will be reporting. It looks like they're, I don't know, maybe they're going to try to get something up at 200 for the report. We'll have to see. Now, what else are they doing today? It was kind of crazy to see this right before earnings, but look at this right here. And guys, before we continue, if you hit that thumbs up, I'd certainly appreciate it. It helps people find the video. And if you like the content, think about subscribing. Look at what they did here. Ended up giving an upgrade to AMD from Morgan Stanley. Raised the price target from 128 to 193 today. Again, they report tomorrow, right? Apple, they got an upgrade. Google got an upgrade. All these companies are reporting. All these companies. I put AMD in the mag. I mean, people say mag 7, mag 10, whatever you want to do it. I put them in there because they just had such a big rise and doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. So, you know, and again, looking at Amazon, look what they're doing. They're pushing it through this area right here, right? This is a heavy area of resistance going into earnings on Thursday. If it gets past that thing can absolutely move up. And don't, you know, keep in mind here, when we pull this one up, it is about 17% away from all-time highs. So it has more room to run, I think, than any of the rest of them. If you take Tesla out of it, of course, it has way more room to run. So we could do an all-time high, but that's a whole different story we'll go into. But if you look at the RSI, you know, this one right here is just reaching overbought, but it can run up here plenty before you have to worry about that. And we've seen these stocks get in overbought territory and stay there for weeks. It's just now clipping just the top edge of overbought right now as we get earnings on Thursday. Now, when it comes to SoFi, obviously big day, and I'll just say, you know, in the comments, this is what was going on in the comments the other day, so I'm going to show it because you guys are right on it. You know, Michael says SoFi has big issues with big banks. JP Morgan does not want SoFi to take their market share. That will probably be true. It is kind of crazy that big banks can downgrade SoFi, even though they're a competitor. You would think there'd be a problem with that, but I guess not. MJ says SoFi has a 14% short interest. I'll show you this as well. It is heavily shorted, so it could move up 20 to 30%. You were right on it. SoFi short, and you kind of went into all this stuff about all the shorts and everything. And I was really surprised at this point in time that they were having this many shares being shorted. Steve says, I've seen SoFi have a parabolic move off earnings to the upside and within a few days start to sell off dramatically. Yep, I've seen that as well. You can see it in the chart. So that's the other thing. Can they hold this now? And then, of course, Craig says, pretty sure there's a high short interest on SoFi. I can't remember the percentage. I do agree that 10% move is more likely. But, of course, it absolutely skyrocketed. And when we look, right here, you can see the big move up. We can take that daily fair value gap right there out because it mitigated that one. Moved up into that RTH gap right there. Almost mitigated the entire thing. That's basically where it stopped right there. I believe the high was like 23% and stuff. But the other thing, besides the short interest, I'll actually show you, that surprised me was the volume, right? And we're going to have to see when we look at this. I mean, you've seen these gap ups and then they sell down, right? So we're going to see if this can move maybe up this trend line right there, which is 10 some. We'll have to see if it can continue this momentum. Sometimes it goes for 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it sells off immediately if it hits some kind of form of resistance. But when you look at this thing, look at the volume bar down here. And when I look back, I believe this is the second highest amount of volume it's actually had in its history. So that's another thing which you didn't see coming. I didn't see coming. And that just means, I mean, this thing was, the shorts were getting squeezed out and crying and covering. And you can see right there what they're talking about. Short interest, 118 million shares, 13.37%. And so immediately, as soon as they did the double beat, bam, this thing took off, kept running. And I believe it ended up about 20% for the day. And just to be straight up about it, I mean, I put this stuff in the Discord with the company earnings. Obviously, the company earnings look good, but the other thing I didn't think about and I forgot about, this was going to be the first quarter they were going to announce a profit. And when that happens, another stock did that earlier last year and did the same thing, just skyrocketed. As soon as you hear that, I think all algos kick in, and you just look at some of the metrics and stuff. And it did a good job, right? Growing. I thought I saw for the quarter we're in now, where they actually either didn't lower the guidance, but it wasn't as high as people thought it was going to be. And I was surprised. That's the thing that surprised me. It didn't get punished at all for it. It's like, nope, just keep going. I know I read that somewhere, but but you can see, I mean, they're growing all segments right now. So hitting on all cylinders. So we'll see if they can keep it going for 2024. And if the interest rate gets lowered, it should actually help SoFi out, believe it or not. So that'll be another thing to think about. So good job on everybody in the comments on that one for getting that one right. I apologize. Now, Tesla, you can see right here, looking on a shorter term time frame, that anchor VWAP was key today. It tested it, bounced it off of it twice, and then, of course, came down. Nice level here. I hadn't moved, that 188 level. And, of course, this is when the news came out from the Treasury, too, and the market just started taking off. And so it was a good day for it. Overall, you can see, I mean, is this the bottom? What to find out. You look at the RSI, though. Of course, why is this happening? We've been talking about this. This was either the most oversold it's ever been, or at least one of the top 3 times I know for sure. I mean, when I look at it, it looks like, to me, it could be the worst one since 103, but 103 is a little higher. And so that's why. I mean, this oversold. Plus, don't forget, it had been selling down, right, from the 265 area. So this thing was already way down before it even got into earnings. So that's something else you got to remember. And when you go into, the hourly, you can kind of see it a little bit better here. I mean, majorly oversold, down like 12. And so it's been moving up, right? And again, what do we talk about when we're looking for with Tesla? Is call sweeps, right? Look at the call sweeps just flowing in the AM, right? And you're always looking for the sweeps, the big ones, right? The $1 million ones, close to $1 million, right? So those are flowing in. Then, of course, started to cool off anywhere between like 12 and 2. And then once again in the afternoon, as soon as that stuff came out from the Treasury, more call sweeps flowing in, right? I think roughly, if I didn't look at that real quick, 4.55, around 6 million, I guess, right there in the afternoon. That's not all of them, but that's the kind of stuff you're looking for with Tesla. And we kind of move out here on the MACD. If we pull up the MACD, you can see how far down that thing was, which is just crazy. And so will it be one of these right here? We get the bullish MACD cross, get some move up, and then sell back down and bottom, or we finally, just bottom? Put in the comments what you think. But again, I think a lot of it's just got to do with if call sweeps keep coming in, the market wants to just continue to melt up and push up off of these Mag 7 or Mag 10, whatever you want to call it, earnings. Then you can see this continue to move up. Your weekly, expected ranges. I mean, the top one's like 193.30 is what they're expecting at the top, 173.20 at the bottom. So, just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at it. Now, the other thing too was, especially in the afternoon, once we got the news from the Treasury and the yields dropped, that's when you saw any high beta, right? Anything that's very volatile can have big moves. The Cathie Woods type stocks, crypto stocks, just come rolling in, right? Absolutely moving up, moving up, moving up. And you can see, of course, Chinese stocks, not a good day for them. Didn't like it at all. They're actually down worse than this in the morning. And so we'll see if we get any more news out of Evergrande or anything like that. Now, looking at tomorrow, obviously GM, UPS, JetBlue, some others, but then all eyes are on the afternoon, right? Microsoft, AMD, Alphabet are going to be reporting. So that's what the market truly, truly cares about. And then you will have a lot of economic news coming out, some before the bell with home prices, S&P Case-Shiller home price index month over month, year over year. After the bell, CB consumer confidence, JOLTS job openings, JOLTS job quits, Dallas Fed Services Index, Dallas Fed Services revenues. And so it will be another nice volatile day for sure. Watch the dollar. I swear I was trying to break up today, which is what was kind of holding everything just in a range, because the morning session there was nothing going on really. Besides Tesla was having a decent day, but really nothing else was happening until the actual afternoon when we got the Treasury. But again, with all that stuff coming out after the bell opens up, it's going to be fun. Plus, setting at these high levels right now. Don't be surprised if the market kind of sells back down to get people to fill orders before trying to move up. And a lot of it just have to do with earnings. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. If the guidance is good for these companies, the big ones, market's going to go, right? If the guidance isn't, obviously AMD will be a big catapult, because I know SMCI, I believe when I looked at this, it was dragging them up in after hour. They reported had a double beat. They ain't on the call yet, but we'll see if that drags semiconductors up. And so AMD is running up into earnings after a nice price upgrade. And again, it'll have to do with the forecast is what we're going to have to look at and stuff. So anyway, let me know what you think as far as Microsoft, AMD, Google. I'd expect good earnings from all three, actually. But, we can get a surprise or something. We'll have to see. So anyway, hit that like, subscribe button, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.